Today we're going to talk about one of our clients, an accounting firm in the US, and how we help that client automate their entire HR process just by using this workflow right here. But before we dive right into the workflow that I'm going to show you right here, I'm going to talk about what benefits they actually saw from implementing this workflow that we gave them. So first of all, they saved around 100 hours per year. Now, this is just an estimation based on previous data that they have. They haven't actually used the system for a full year, but we estimate that they will save around 100 hours for the first year. And not only that, they had around 37%, 37.2% to be exact, faster hires. That means that the time it actually took from posting the LinkedIn job hire post to finding that magical employee that's going to fill the position, that time span right there, it decreased by 37.2%, which is an insane amount if you think that the company was hiring like 5 people per month. And also they had, this is an unexpected kind of result that they had, but they actually had it. They had a 27% increase in retention in the first 3 months of a new hire. And they did that without changing any of the other processes. So they didn't change their onboarding, they didn't change anything else. They just implemented this automation in their HR process, and everything was working so smooth that people were more likely to stay in the company. So they saved time, they hired quicker, and people stayed longer in the company. So what else do you want? Let me jump right into it and explain how exactly we did all that for this client. Specifically, as I said, it helped them save over 100 hours per year. It increased the time that it took for actually finding someone to fill the position by around 37%. And it increased by 27% the retention rate of the first 3 months. That means that the people that they actually hired had a 27% more chance than before to actually stay on the company, because the hiring process was more enjoyable, less painful, more transparent, and targeted the key people that we needed to fill that position. Now, without any further ado, let me dive right into this. I prepared a diagram to showcase exactly what we did, and anybody can understand it without any technical knowledge. I will not dive into how we did things. I will just focus on what the system does and how we were able to provide value for our client through that system. Very quick before we begin, those green this green shapes like right here, they indicate the user interaction on the system. And as you can see from the very beginning, there is very little user interaction only at the beginning of the process. And even that could be completely automated. But in some cases, we want to give our clients the opportunity to just go in and double check what the artificial intelligence systems produce, just to make sure there are not any mistakes and we are not far off target. Again, it's not for everybody, but for companies that are just starting using AI, it's usually to take it step by step and have, at least in the beginning of the process, some human interaction. So everything begins with a decision to create a new job post. That could be for any position, but for our client, it was usually because he needed a new accountant, because they increased the number of accounts that they had, and they needed some people to bring on the team so they can handle the more workload that they had. So it begins with a decision from the HR manager to start a new job post. What that does after they submit the request, the AI agent takes over. He has all the pre-trained data with the identity of the company, with the stuff that they're looking for in hires, with the company mission, company values, and all that. So the agent is already pre-trained with all of that. We trained him that way after lengthy discussions with the management of the company. So we ended up into a well-trained system tailored for our client. Now that AI agent, what it does, it started chat with the HR manager so they can create together a script. Now that does a lot better work than just logging into ChatGPT and start giving it random information, because as I said, it has pre-trained data. We're using OpenAI on the back end, so theoretically it's kind of the same, but because of the data from the company, it produces much better result. Now, what the HR manager does at this point is they write a very short description or sometimes even just a title to reuse an old job post maybe, and the AI is trying to generate a full description and a title for the job post. Then it sends a message on Slack to the manager and says, hey, the script is ready, please review it. And the manager has two little buttons and he clicks yes or no. If he declines the AI agent's request, the AI agent asks for more information about what he did wrong, and then we repeat the process basically until we have a finalized job post that we can post on LinkedIn. What happens then after, again, this is very important, maybe I should mark this as green, is after the HR manager marks the script as completed, the AI agent completely takes over this whole process and posts this job on LinkedIn. Now I'm gonna hold it right here because he also does some other stuff as well, but I want to go to the other branch as well. Because after we post the job on LinkedIn, at some point we're going to start to get applicants, and this is where the process was starting to get a little bit tedious. Before, what would happen is every time a new applicant came, our client will receive an email, they will go once or twice per week inside LinkedIn, they will review all the applications, they will download manually any files like resumes or cover letters or anything that they uploaded on LinkedIn. They will download everything, they will review everything, and then they will find the best prospects and they will set up meetings with them. The problem with that is that after some time and after the company really took off, they started to receive a lot of applications. I'm talking about hundreds, even thousands at some point, applications. And if you have to review all those applications, you're gonna make mistakes. So what was happening is people, because that task was obviously delegated to employees, the HR manager didn't do the job himself, but he had employees, he has employees that were working under him and they did those tasks. So what they did is, instead of reviewing all the applications, they reviewed some of them and they decided, okay, they're good enough, we're gonna start setting meetings with them. And from 10 or 20 or 30 meetings, they eventually found someone. The problem with that is, how do you know that the correct applicant is not on the applications that you didn't even look at? That's the main problem of the system. And obviously it was too much time to just review all applications and do meetings with all of them, so they simply didn't do it. What's happening now is, when we receive a new application, the AI agent downloads and reviews the profile and the submission that they did. This is the first qualification round. We have 2 qualification rounds in this workflow in total, and in this is just the first one. So the AI agent decides, again, based on the training data that we gave him and a specific set of rules that we came up together with the HR manager, of course, we came up with a set of rules that, and the AI agent used those rules to figure out if the person is qualified or not. This is a basic level qualification. For example, is the person that we're looking for interested in the type of job? Does he have the type of background that we want? Does he meet all the specific requirements that we have for the job? Is he the correct type of person that we want for our company? Stuff like that, very generic stuff. If it's not qualified, the AI agent just tosses him aside and he marks him as not qualified in an internal database that we have. If he is qualified, then this is where it starts getting very, very interesting, because the AI agent starts a live chat automatically with the prospect, and that's because we want a second round of questions. Maybe there are some standard questions that we need to ask them. In this case, the client wanted to ask some questions that were pretty standard for every employee. It had to do with their background, it had to do with their studies, and it had to do with technical knowledge. So the AI agent is really good to just take all that and have an organic, correct conversation with the prospect. If the agent deems the prospect not qualified, again, it tosses him aside and it marks him as not qualified on the database. But if it is qualified, then the agent saves the applicant on a database for a later use. I'm going to explain that a little bit later. And it sets up an appointment based on a booking link that we have set up for the team that does the hiring coach. So what happens is, from an employee perspective, they wait and suddenly, out of nowhere, an event appears on the calendar that says, you have a new hiring call for this position. And then they jump onto the event and they see the chat that the AI had with the prospect. And not only that, but they also can click and open the resume, and they have all the information right in front of them, and all they have to do is just jump on a meeting and interview the prospect. Obviously, we're gonna expand this and extend this process a little bit more in the future, but we want to run this for a couple of months first to see how it goes on this particular client. Now, one last thing that I promised you I would get back at the end of the video is that after the agent, remember the first part, at some point the agent created the script for us and the title and the description for the job post and everything. Well, after he does that, this is the best part of this workflow. He goes back into the database and looks for previous prospects that we have already interviewed. Because after somebody interviews a prospect, the company has an internal system that they mark if he's actually good from 1 to 5, how good he is, how good his English speaking skills are, how good his personal skills are, how many years of experience he has for this particular position, stuff like that. So for every person in the database that is qualified, the AI agent sends an SMS or an email, depending on the person and his preferred method of communication, and he asks them, hey, we're starting to look again for position A. Are you available and are you looking for a job right now? And if the prospect says yes, then sets up another interview. And this is the part that actually resulted in 37.2 faster hires, because this process, this whole process here to the right, even if it's automated, it's a little bit delaying the process of hiring, because you still have to wait for good applicants to actually come. You have to wait until they schedule a meeting, and you have to wait until that meeting takes place and we make a decision. If we do that, right, and we end up interviewing 10 people but only hire one, then that means that the 9 other successful interviews that we did are worthless. So imagine this, because this is what's happening for our client right now. They're doing, let's say, 10 interviews. Out of those 10, around 3 or 4 of them are really good potential hires. They're qualified people, but they only choose one every time. And the other 3, they're just forgotten about. They put their resumes in a folder and they never look at it again. Now what happens with our new system that we just installed, those resumes will be resurrected and we will set up a meeting again with those prospects, because maybe they're looking for a job, or maybe they already have a job but they're looking to move somewhere else. So this is the system. Those are the benefits that we brought to our client, and so far they're very happy with the results, and we can't wait to see how much this is going to increase when we extend this workflow. So if you're a business owner that watched this video and thinks, okay, maybe this is something that I can use, then all you have to do is drop a comment or use the links that are in the description of the video to contact us, and we will reach out to you to set up a very quick discovery meeting free of charge, just to talk about your specific case and figure out if this system or any similar system that we can build can help you automate your HR process, or in fact any other process that you may have in your business.